Hello everybody, hello YouTube, hello BitChute, and anywhere else this video might make it on the World Wide Web. This is Brett Norman. Today is September, let's see, I think it's the 15th. Yes, Sunday, the 15th, 2019. And here I am, sitting at a favorite spot of mine, not far from my house. All right, and I thought I'd share with you a little something. I got a couple of things, interesting things. First of all, I want to share with you is that, this is the end of the summer, and quite recently I found a new book, and I wanted to display that. It is Babylon, the Scarlet Woman, or the Divine Foreview of the Church of Rome by Albert Close. I found this book on eBay, of all places. And it's very, very similar to the Divine Program of the World's History. This one was actually published before the Divine Program in 1910. And look at this, we have a picture of Pope Pius X here. It says, Pius, the present scarlet-clad head of the papal power, notwithstanding the fact that the Pope has been dethroned as a temporal monarch since 1870, he still claims to be the King of Kings, and he still wears the triple crown, signifying that he reigns in three worlds. Yes, semper eadem. Rome never changes. That is their motto. That is Rome's motto, semper eadem. Rather interesting, this photo, or rather artwork of Pope Pius X, isn't it? Maybe this was before the days of color, or maybe the early stages of color photography or color printing, and it has a layer of red on top of a kind of a transparent black and white image almost. But I'm just seated here, one of my favorite spots. I have a small copy of the King James Version that I got online right here. This one is printed, I believe, before 1870. I thought that maybe it would be a little bit larger. It's really small. Here's the cover page. I think the year it was printed is right here. New York American Bible Society, 1868, excuse me, yeah. So a couple years before, or actually a year before, the Vatican Council started in December of 1869. And these older Bibles are really important because I think back in the day, they took a lot better care of the scriptures than we do now. Of course, we have all these Bibles today, and I was raised in a Lutheran church, which is essentially Catholic church, after Vatican Council II, born in 1969 myself. So I am a product of the 80s, so to speak. Things have changed quite a bit since the 80s, all right. And I was brought up with the NIV Bible, the New International Version of the Bible, and I remember very specifically when I was given a copy of the Bible, I was very happy to have my own Bible, but little did I know at that time of what I would face in my lifetime and the troubles that I put myself through because I did not understand, nor did I receive a good education about the battle that was set up, as Albert Close is going to tell us in this book, Babylon, the Scarlet Woman, or the Divine Foreview of the Church of Rome. And here I can read a little portion from this. Why not? Babylon, the Scarlet Woman, or the Divine Foreview of the Rise, Reign. I'll get this in the screen here. And Destiny of the Church of Rome. I'm not really concentrating on the camera. I'm concentrating on reading the book. And the light is such, it's a beautiful day, but it's hard to read off the screen of this little phone. Or it's actually quite a big phone, actually. I have a Sony Xperia, I think it's a Z5 in my hand. Interesting 5, yeah, that is the number for Lucifer in his quest for what can we say? Conspiracy for world power. And yeah, Satan works through, Lucifer works through the Roman Catholic Church. Albert Close knew this very well. And we learned that very well in the Divine Program of the World's History, which we read with Jörg Lissman. And I want to say a big thank you to Jörg Lissman of Belgium and Michael of Germany. Also, a big, huge thank you to Tom Fress of Inquisition Update for all the years of service he has done in reading those wonderful readings that you can get on his archive page at firstamendmentradio.net and .com. Tom is still doing well, but yeah, it's tough to bring up this topic without him around. Maybe Jörg Lissman can convince Tom to do some readings with him in the future. I would hope that's the case. And we'll be looking forward to that in the future. But for now, Tom is not on First Amendment Radio. And we don't need to go into details. That is Tom's business. But I really do appreciate all the years of service he has done. And reading and, defining these old Protestant books for us. Because I do believe this is where the Spirit leads, to study these old books and to get to know, really pick up the pieces and put back together the puzzle of history and see really what the divine program of the world's history is all about. And Albert Close, I think, did a very fine work in helping us to get to a basic knowledge of that and making it easier for us to take it upon ourselves to do research and to look up articles in old books and old encyclopedias. Now, I want to share something with you, listeners, very special. I've been waiting for a while to bring this to the forefront because it just reflects a small little bit of research that I did, and I want to explain this to you, the listener of my channel. I recently, relatively speaking, bought I think it was a 25-volume set of the 9th edition of the Encyclopedia Brittanica. And there's a little story I have for you. When I was researching this 9th edition before I bought it on Craigslist, I got it for $100, all 25 volumes, which I consider to be a very, very good buy. And when I was doing my research, I looked up this article right here. I made a study sheet for this. This is very small writing. I don't know if you can read this. On the history of the Encyclopedia Brittanica on Wikipedia, of all places. Now, just follow my logic. So I can make a real-time video and put along with this. But for now, I just like being outside with the sound of nature and explaining to you very simply how I went about doing a little bit of research here on this Encyclopedia Brittanica. I just wanted to quick share with you this 9th edition. So when you go to this page, the history of the Encyclopedia Brittanica on Wikipedia, you scroll all the way down to the 9th edition, okay, the one that I'm looking at purchasing at the time I researched this. And it says here, the landmark 9th edition, often called, quote, the Scholar's Edition, unquote, was published from January 1875 to 1889 in 25 volumes, with volume 25 the index volume. Unlike the first two black editions, there were no primary dissertations. The alphabetical listing beginning with volume 1 up to 1880, the editor and the author of the foreword was Thomas Spence Baines, the first English-born editor after a series of Scots, and William W. Robertson Smith afterwards, an intellectual prodigy who mastered advanced scientific and mathematical topics. Smith was a professor of theology at Free Church College in Edinburgh and was the first contributor to the Brittanica who addressed the historical interpretation of the Bible, a topic then already familiar on the continent of Europe. Dr. Smith contributed several articles to the 9th edition, but lost his teaching position on the 24th of May, 1881, due to the controversy his religious articles aroused. He was immediately hired to be joint editor-in-chief with Baines. So, now when you click on this W. Robertson Smith right here in the second sentence or so, the middle of this paragraph, we go to the Wikipedia page on William Robertson Smith, and it says that he was a Scottish Orientalist, Old Testament scholar, professor of divinity, it's hard to read this small writing, and minister of the Free Church of Scotland. He was an editor of this Encyclopedia Brittanica and contributor to the Encyclopedia Biblica. Okay, I haven't clicked on this link yet, so don't ask me what the Encyclopedia Biblica is all about. He is also known for his book, Religion on the Semites, which is considered a foundational text in the comparative study of religion. Okay, very interesting, right? So it says life and career. Now, I want to go down to the sentence right here, okay? And I put it over here. I can read the other part first. I suppose I should. Smith was born in Craig, excuse me if I butcher this, I'm not from Great Britain. These guys are nuts. They're going to butcher me as I butcher them. So I'm not even going to pronounce this because it's too small and I can't read it right now. But, okay. That's why I was a little hesitant about reading this. But Dr. Williamson Smith, can't read it. 1811 through 1890, minister of the recently created Free Church of Scotland for the parishes of Craig and, here we go again. Is that Toe? And his wife, Jane Robertson. His brother was Charles Michael Smith. He demonstrated a quick intellect at an early age, and he entered Aberdeen University at 15 before transferring to New College, Edinburgh, to train for the ministry in 1866. That's an interesting year, 1866, the year that the French troops left the Vatican and the Pope lost his temporal power. After graduation, he took up a chair in Hebrew at the Aberdeen Free Church College in 1870. Another interesting year when the Pope claimed his infallible decree of infallibility, 1870. So, yeah, in 1875, okay, I'm going to move over here because I can read it better. He wrote a number of important articles on religious topics in the 9th edition of the Encyclopedia Brittanica. Okay, so here we go. This is a link coming to here. He became popularly known because of his trial for heresy in the 1870s, following the publication of an article in the Encyclopedia Brittanica. Now, when you click on Trial for Heresy, it says File Not Found. So there's something here that has been wiped away. And I found it very interesting that it was wiped away from Wikipedia. Why is that? Well, we find out by simply highlighting this sentence, putting it into Google, and searching it. And of course, the first thing you come up with is the article it came from. The second thing you come up with is from Brittanica.com. So we go to Brittanica.com and we read about William Robertson Smith. And in this article, it reads here, Smith was ordained a minister in 1870 on his appointment as professor of Oriental languages and Old Testament exegesis at the Free Church of Aberdeen. When his articles on biblical subjects appeared in the 9th edition of the Encyclopedia Brittanica, notably the article on the Bible. So, published in 1875, the authorities of the Free Church took strong exception to them. In 1877, they suspended him from his teaching duties. He was formally tried, and in 1880, the Assembly dropped the indictment against him. After a second attack on his opinions, he was again suspended. In 1881, he was removed from his chair. Later that year, he was appointed joint editor of Encyclopedia Brittanica. He moved to Edinburgh and wrote the Old Testament in the Jewish Church, 1881, and the Prophets of Israel in 1882. He had academic positions at Cambridge University from 1883 and remained editor-in-chief of the Brittanica until the 9th edition was completed in 1888. His article, quote-unquote, Sacrifice, 1886, and his book, Kinship and Marriage in Early Arabia, 1885, are important landmarks in the study of comparative religion. In 1889, he wrote his most original work, Lectures on the Religion of the Semites. So I just thought it'd be really interesting to share with everyone. Oh, sorry about this. I had a little discrepancy here with the temp. Okay, I'm back finally. Welcome back. Rather, I'm dealing with a phone issue. It overheated when I did that video for whatever reason. I guess it's pretty warm out today. But here we are back. Yeah, so I had established a little study page here about the history of the Encyclopedia Brittanica in this 9th edition. And this article that William Robertson Smith wrote on the 9th edition of the Brittanica pertaining to the Bible. And I want to read some of this for you because I find it very interesting. So, Bible. The word Bible, which in English, as in medieval Latin, is treated as a singular noun, is in its original Greek form a plural. The sacred books correctly expressing the fact that the sacred writings of Christendom and made up of a number of independent records which set before us the gradual development of the religion of revelation. The origin of each of these records forms a distinct critical problem. And for the discussion of these questions of detail, the reader is referred to the articles on separate biblical books. The present article seeks to give a general account of the historical and literary conditions under which the unique literature of the Old and New Testaments sprang up, and of the way in which the biblical books were brought together in a canonical collection handed down from age to age. The biblical development is divided into two great periods. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't even have the, let's see, we are right here. Yes. I don't know if this screen, I might switch this video over to the computer image. I might scan this when I get home. By the manifestation of, in its pre-Christian stage. Wait, where am I? Okay, I think I ended up here. The canonical collection handed down from age to age. The biblical development is divided into two great periods by the manifestation and historical work of Christ. Okay. In its pre-Christian stage, the religion of revelation is represented as a covenant between the spiritual God and his chosen people, the Hebrews. In accordance with this and in allusion to Jeremiah 31:31, Jesus speaks of the new dispensation founded in his death as a new covenant. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 25. Hence, as early as the 2nd century, I'm not really looking at the camera while I'm reading, of our era, the two great divisions of the Bible were known as the books of the Old and of the New Covenant, respectively. Among Latin-speaking Christians, the Greek word for covenant was often incorrectly rendered testament, and thus Western Christendom still uses the names of the Old and New Testaments instead of the Old and New Covenants, which would make it much easier to understand. Do you see why, dear listener, our good friend, Dr. Alberto Rivera, when he was alive, told us that the language of Latin is the language of the Antichrist? Well, this is exactly why. They're continuing to confuse all of God's people by giving us a false representation of Christianity in Christendom, right? So Jeremiah 31:31. Let's look it up. Okay, Jeremiah 31. Okay, behold, the days will come, saith the Lord. Let's see if I can get the screen going here. All right. Yes, right there. See it? Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. Okay, we're in verse 33 now. Let's see how I get the camera going. It's so hard to see the screen here, the light. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor. Isn't that interesting? And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord. For they shall know me from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven can be measured, thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off the seed of Israel for all they have done, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the city shall be built to the Lord from the tower of Hanel to the gate of the corner. Interesting stuff, huh? So the new covenant God made in Jeremiah the prophet told us. Okay. So, we're speaking of the Old Covenant, or rather what we call from the Latin the Old Testament, the struggle and progress of spiritual religion. Well, I think that about does it for today. I think it's a rather intense article on the Bible, and I want to thank everyone for sticking with me in the study. And we're going to be going back into the divine program of the world's history to finish that up now. And then after that is done, then we will be going back into the study of the Great Exodus, or the time of the end. We did the 18th session today. It was a very, very interesting study. I'm not going to say what it was about because I can't retain all of this information. I can only retain a certain amount of information, just like any other student. And I don't think we should work too hard. We need to relax a little bit, get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather while we still have it, like I have in front of me right now. And take it easy on each other. Relax. And, consider one another. There's a lot of inequality in the world, and people do get very jealous and angry and lash out against others. And There's a lot of problems in the world right now, and we're undergoing some very political, nasty, frankly, horrible things here in the United States. And I just wish people would just give up on their politics and just say, you know what, this is so corrupt that I don't want to be involved with it anymore. I mean, that's basically what I've done. I know that most everyone that is not reading the Bible could care less about studying history and understanding the Bible. But really, if we're going to be true scholars of any kind of truth, we need to stand up and be responsible for the world we live in, don't we? I mean, be not of the world. We're living in the world, but be not of the world. It's not for us to be correcting everyone unless they come to us and ask us specifically for help. There's little we can do for others. We all have a cross to bear. I guess this is what I want to say. We all have a cross to bear. Jesus knows us by name. Many of us are going through very, very difficult times in our health and wellness. And my heart goes out to you, dear listener of this channel. And I understand we're all going to be put to the test in this life. And it's not going to be all peachy keen all the time. There's going to be some really, really rough times. And we really don't know when they're going to come. But we need to be prepared for them. We need to help others that are stuck. Specifically the lost sheep of Israel, which are scattered throughout the nations of the world. They're not as the nations say they are. We have a nation state of Israel, but that was founded by the Balfour Declaration. And, there is a plan to confuse all the people of earth so that they don't know anything valid truth of the Bible. It's all about setting this quote-unquote theocracy of man above the true theocracy of God. And that's what we're trying to get to in these studies. And we're trying to show you why the theocracy was lost, the true theocracy of Israel. And I believe that some of this historical research will actually set us free in that regard. And we can rest in the Lord and know that it's the truth in our hearts. And be patient with others as well. I mean, that's what I'm trying to maintain, is to be able to be strong enough to share, not be afraid, and bring the gospel to all people, all living creatures, right? So with that, I will sign off on this beautiful Sunday, September 15, 2019, and I'll be looking forward to catching up with everybody sooner or later. I got a trip planned here. I'm going to be going on hopefully in the first week of October. So you can look for another video like this coming up. And with that, maybe I'll give you a little close-up of these bees here on this. I think this is, I'm not sure what plant this is in front of me, but there's some bees on it. Interesting. We have this problem with these devices that we have now broadcasting on these really high bandwidths, 5G devices, and also the smart meters and all of this. This information age we live in has kind of gone a little bit berserk, and it will continue to go on this path. And I mean, who knows how many more years we're going to be dealing with the rise of this technology. It seems in some ways to be kind of a broken record right now, where we have increasing efficiency and technology processing power that is ramping up, and it is not slowing down. It just continues to increase. And along with that increase, we have the failure of technology and having to update everything with software. It's very annoying. I've been doing some video work, and I've been trying to recover some information that I had lost from 2015, and very frustrating process. And I think technology is in some ways a real hindrance when it comes to backing up older data and then incorporating that older data into newer software. I've encountered a lot of problems, and I'm sure many others have. But anyway, I don't mean to bore everybody with those types of issues, but it's been a beautiful weekend. Hope everyone's doing well. God bless. I'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye.